Okay,
we
we're
all.
actually live. No,
All right. Are we ready?
we're good. Sorry.
That's all right. All right. It is 4:30. It is April 15th. We'll call this meeting to order, and I defer.
It would be recommended that the council choose someone from amongst themselves to be the chair for this meeting and act as pro tem.
I would be willing to do that.
I think you need a second.
Second.
Who's going to call the, we have a second, what do we?
Do a roll call?
Yeah.
Okay. Hint,
Aye.
Eggers,
Aye.
Ostra,
Aye.
Wagner.
Okay, now do we need to go back to roll call because we haven't done?
Brad Hint,
Here.
Tom Eggers,
Aye. Here.
Pete Hamill, Chantel Ostra,
Here.
Jeff Wagner.
Here.
Then we need to approve the agenda. Anyone wants to make a
I'll
motion?
make a motion to approve the agenda. Support.
Okay, all in favor? Roll call. Sorry.
That's okay. Eggers,
Aye.
Ostra,
Aye.
Wagner, Hint.
Aye.
And then this is our time for a public forum. Are there any comments?
Is this the forum for the tax part? Okay, this is just in general.
Mm-hmm.
Say we do have a public hearing down below.
Yep.
Can't hear
Any written comments, Ian?
No.
Okay. Then we need a motion to approve the consent agenda.
I'll move.
I'll second. Roll call.
Wagner,
Aye.
Ostra,
Aye.
Hint,
Aye.
Eggers.
Aye.
Old business. Resolution approving new agreement with Center Benefits for HR services. Do you have anything on this? Or
I did link upon your request the 2024 proposals that we received. Sam, I'm having a little trouble with my Wi-Fi, but once I get that sorted out, I can guide the council through the key terms of the agreement. Would you like me to proceed in that manner, Chantel?
yes, please.
All right. As a starting point, I would note that this is the second year of the HR agreement. There was a contract last year, and it's up for renewal. The agreement that you've been given is in large part the same as last year, and then in working with city staff and Center Benefits, we made some changes, and of course the updated agreement has been circulated to you for your review. I sent to the council persons that are present and to Tom a highlighted version of the document. And if you have that, I direct your attention to it because it may make it a little easier to follow along. If you look at section 1,
Is it attached to the agenda?
it is not, sorry, I emailed it shortly before the meeting, but I can direct you to where you need to look if you don't have it, Brad.
Can we just table this till the next meeting? I haven't had a chance to review this, and I don't quite understand. I'm very frustrated, and just not by you, just by this whole situation of what we found ourselves in today. So I can I'll try to call up my phone and take a look at it, but
I got it, I read it at 10 after 4.
It's the same agreement that was linked a couple weeks ago. It's the same agreement I sent out prior to the other meeting. Just for ease of following along, I just highlighted some things in color. And if you don't have that, I can show you where it is on the agenda that has been circulated to the public and to the media. So, but I'll proceed however the council wishes.
So Micah, this is Tom. Last meeting, concern came up from the council about what I'll label confidentiality. It seemed to be the question was unclear about the fact that all requests had to go through the city manager or the city clerk, and that that kind of verbiage may not clarify exactly the confidentiality role of HR to the employees. And so if you could address that part of it, I'd appreciate it.
I certainly can do that. Mayor Pro Tem, is that what you'd like me to do? I did see that there was a possible question from the audience.
Sure. Marv, did you have a question you wanted?
Yeah, Mark Van Richten speaking. I haven't seen anything about the HR given to the public to review anything. Then you have, it is frustrating. Then you have Councilman getting to be able to read it 10 minutes after 4 in the afternoon. That's beyond frustration. And not only that, I can't see why you need an attorney, for crying out loud, for HR when we don't need to begin with. It's a complete waste of money. Now he's got to go charge us some more money to make some more changes. And that's what this all amounts, a money game. And it's got to stop. Our budget's getting high enough. It's got to stop. We do not need an attorney for this. I could write this out in one piece of paper, simple. And yes, the council's in charge. Not the city manager, not the city attorney. The council is in charge of this city. They're the boss. I hate to be that strong, but that's the way it is. The council is the boss.
Sam, just for a point of clarification, I'm looking at the agenda and I do see the HR contract linked. Was that linked both this week and in the prior meeting?
It was.
And it's the same document?
It's the same.
Okay. How would the council like me to proceed?
I'll make a motion, we put.
Can we have clarification on Tom's question before we move to approve anything?
Yeah, I think probably the appropriate procedural thing to do is look for a second and then call for discussion, and in the discussion portion, I can address the question.
Second.
Councilman Egger's question had to do with confidentiality, and as I understand the question, it's a question of if an employee would come to HR with a concern or another personnel matter, how does confidentiality play into that? In Section 3 of the contract, under Standards of Performance, it explicitly states that the consultant, and I'm quoting, the consultant can receive information, concerns, or complaints directly from city employees, and that they can respond to or take appropriate action on such communications in a manner consistent with professional standards of independence, confidentiality, and impartiality, and with generally accepted human resources practices. So for that particular piece of HR's roles, if, for example, someone in the Public Works Department had a concern about their supervisor, I'm picking on Todd because he's here and I know he can take it. They could go directly to the HR representative with their concern without having to get permission from, for example, the city manager or the city clerk to have that conversation. And then HR has the discretion to act on that concern as outlined in section 3. Mr. Eggers, does that address your concern or answer your question?
Tom, are you still there?
I am. I think that clarifies it. Thank you, Mr. Screws.
All right, I want one follow-up. When I circulated this to the council, one piece of feedback I did receive was a request to insert in that sentence that I quoted from in section 3, this language so that it would read as follows. Nothing in this agreement, however, will be construed to prohibit the consultant from receiving information, concerns, or complaints directly from city employees or from responding to, and this is where the change is, or from responding to, comma, taking appropriate action on, comma, or holding such communications in a manner consistent with professional standards, etc. That is one change that I did receive, and I'll turn it over to the council to provide guidance on whether they want that change incorporated.
So we have a motion and a second to approve as is. So do we want to move forward or make a motion to include the revised language?
So I think you had a motion to already approve the contract in a second. So you have to act on that motion first.
Yeah, you can either make a friendly amendment or you can vote this one down and start over.
You do a substitute motion.
Okay, roll call.
I have no idea what you just said, what the difference between my motion and what you were suggesting.
The only additional language would be to add language that, in addition to receiving, they can hold information in confidence. There was a clarification on that point.
You can modify it for that if you want. My motion was what the last thing you presented to the council, so yes, whatever is fine. So add that to my motion.
Tom, do you agree with that?
Yes, I second that.
Okay, roll call.
Wagner?
Aye.
Hint?
Aye.
Eggers?
Aye.
Ostra?
Aye. Okay, new business. Public hearing on budget fiscal year 26-27. Do we need,
So we ask for comments,
okay,
and then motion and
Um,
second to close.
what's that?
Then a motion and second to close.
Okay.
Public hearing, yeah.
Any comments on the public hearing on the budget? Mhm.
Yeah, Marv Van Riesen, your last time about the budget, there's quite a lengthy, I told you before, you have quite a little money coming in. The problem is how it's spent sometimes, in all fairness. I do not believe you should be raising the levy at all. A matter of fact, when we voted on the sales tax, you got that. It says right in there where we voted it through, says that, you read it, about the bulk of the utilize the city's insurance with the remainder against trust and agency, thus reducing the tax levy. how many times since we've had this 1 cent sales tax has we reduced the levy? None. The sad part of it is on the sales tax, we've been using half of it for, part of it, we've been using that for wages and benefits, which I believe is completely online. The city, if I believe the citizens Sheldon would know at the time, I don't believe they would have passed this thing. I know they wouldn't have. 50%, we take in about $1 million a year there. We've always, if you look at some of the items on there in the budget, we used to pay for it out of the budget, and I call it what they call expense shifting. They start taking out there, but they didn't reduce the budget. They just kept find something else to spend money on. I don't think that's being very honest with the general public. I really don't. Something has to be done there. There are several other things in the budget that we talked about this before, and so it isn't anything new. And that's when they first got all these police cars. They thought everybody had to have a police car. One year, I believe the budget went up, I think, on the police part 40%, I believe. That's a lot of money, and we don't need all the police cars. Right now, we have 4 police officers that don't even live in the city town, because they can't take them out anyhow. So why? And that was the idea of it. Take them home, because remember the bank robbery we had was going to convert to get them quicker, or whatever the case be. That theory's out the window. I believe it would be wiser to take some of that money. It is a dangerous job. I'd be more for giving the police officers a little extra money because of their job. It is a dangerous job. You put on a bulletproof vest every day, and just the nature and the hours that they have to work. I'd be more in favor of giving them more money, getting rid of some of these cars, and we'd be money ahead. We really would be if you figure it. And then another thing on the budget that I really don't care for is that this TIF business. If all the TIF was on the tax rolls right now, it'd be approaching, our taxes were down approximately, it's approaching $3 a thousand. That's a lot of money. That's a lot of money, particularly when you're looking at schools and different things like this. It all comes into play here. You have to realize every time you use that TIF, it's like a credit card. You run the credit card through there is what it is. And it wouldn't be so bad, but we got told year after year, well, we're going to put some back on. The problem is they never put anything back on the mount, anything back on the tax rolls. So I would suggest that you, and the idea of it was when it first started, it's for businesses that come in, they help them out financially. I didn't have a problem with that. Right away, that didn't always happen that way. And doesn't seem, we're telling us how many, 40-some hundred people, and it's been, or 50-some hundred people, have been 50-some hundred people since 1945. So I would think that you should be able to put probably half of it back on the tax rolls, which you would still have $2 million to help out businesses if they come in. My notion, at the start, I think that's reasonable, or else work that in over a 2 or 3 year period so it doesn't crunch you financially so bad. But that's just some of the things that I see that, without going through the whole budget and the different departments, there are some items I did ask for copies from the city clerk before in the past. And a couple of them were, for example, engineering fees. Engineering fees, every time we get a little committee together, they're paying $15,000 to look at. Bring just a $5 million park that you can't afford. To me, that's a waste of money. We could have easily got Iowa State University or something, see what them kids could do for virtually nothing for us or something. But it's just things like that. And then we no offense, attorneys, every time we get it seems like every time something comes up, they pick up the phone to call the attorney. Well, that costs you money every time you pick up the phone and call the attorney. And you didn't get paid, it's just the way it is. I think we should probably be a little more hesitant in calling the attorney. That's approaching $260 an hour, whatever it is, $200-300, whatever it is. But it's just things we got to watch like that, and I'm not quite so sure we're watching that close enough. But I sure appreciate the council's time, and we're not going to go through the whole budget. That could take hours. But I do think you can make cuts now. And another issue was, that it's a big one, and this is healthcare savings account. The city is throwing in $7,100 for each employee. Have you checked any employers in the city of Sheldon, big employers that pay $7,100? I know the school system has a healthcare savings account. My wife used to work there. They don't do that. They can't afford it. They go broke. But how come the city can afford $7,100? I just can't quite figure that. This has to be addressed. This cannot continue this way. It's just going to get worse with insurance costs. It's just going to get worse and worse and worse. So there is an item. This budget isn't due to the end of the month anyhow. You do have time to adjust this to make corrections on that. How much should it be? I'd get time check around. Maybe it's a couple $1,000 a year. I don't know. Then they can put it in their own. That's another thing. They don't put it in they want to. They don't have to. We understand it. But that's an awful lot of money because there's 33 employees. That's approaching $250,000. That's a lot of money. To me. I don't know about you, but it's an awful lot of money. So if you do that, and I don't hope you don't have to pass it tonight. You got the end of the month, so you do have some time to contemplate to see what you can do. I sure appreciate your service. Then you don't have to raise the levy either. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments?
I just want to
There was
go,
a couple of items I forgot, like Steve, that you really don't think you save $30,000 there and so forth. $50,000 on the HR, you don't need that either.
Marv, thank you.
You bet.
I appreciate your thoughts and your patience in presenting them. I know it's easy always to say, there's money we can save. I just want to remind you that a TIF change is about $2.5 million, and what you propose is about $250,000. So there are some opportunities to make some cuts in there, but I think we need to also find the vision of where we want to go and can we afford to get there. And I appreciate you bringing up those thoughts to make us stop and think about it.
Okay. We need a motion to close the public hearing.
So moved.
Support.
Roll call.
Eggers,
Aye.
Ostra,
Aye.
Wagner,
Aye.
Kent.
Aye. We need a motion on the resolution.
Okay. I need a motion on the resolution
For the budget.
for the budget.
Just because it's in the budget, we're not going to be spending all the money. Some of those items will come back before the council to be approved or are not, correct? Is the way it usually operates.
That's correct, right, Sam? That was my
It is.
understanding also, yes.
So we do have time to look at some of those items that Marv has brought up and other people have brought up.
So is it my understanding that we pretty much have to approve this budget at this point because of the timeline we're in?
Unless you have a special meeting.
Okay, well,
Again, like,
You can approve it, you can make changes, you just can't increase anything, you can decrease.
Right.
I guess I'll make a motion to move it forward with the understanding that we are going to give some consideration to the facts that Marv's brought up before we spend that money.
Tom, were you saying something?
I'll wait for a second.
Okay. That is your motion then?
Yeah.
To approve? Do we have a second?
Yes, Tom seconded it.
Oh, Tom did second?
Yeah,
Oh, I'm
yeah.
sorry. Okay, roll call.
No, I'm waiting for a second Ann,
Oh,
What?
for my question.
so you did not second that?
Sorry.
No, I did not.
Okay. Do we have a second on? Jeff's motion?
I'll support.
Roll call.
And
I have a statement first.
Oh, sorry, my bad.
Since it's seconded, I just want to state that during the process of putting together a budget annually, we go through a workshop process, which is two full meetings to go over line item by line item what's being proposed, both income and expense. I would just like to state that the public is invited and encouraged to participate during that period of time in order to take suggestions that, like we've heard today, and to implement them into the budget earlier in the process. So I would just want to be noted that there's a public invitation next time to our budgeting workshops in order to make sure that the public understands that this is the time frame of which to bring up concerns. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other discussion? Roll call.
Hens,
Aye.
Ostra,
Aye.
Wagner,
Aye.
Eggers, excuse me.
Aye.
Okay. We're good on that, right? So reports?
Are we doing
We have the
Oh,
urban renewal items, B.
sorry about that.
B.
Okay.
Like me to introduce those?
Yes, please.
Okay. So the city has historically relied on the adopted budget to document TIF advances. We have done occasional resolutions on larger items and some of the smaller items. Larger items that we've done advances on would include the bonds, the rebates, the land purchases, and some of the smaller items would include Children's World rides, NCC. Recommendation that we're getting in light of pending legislation is to proceed with advancement of costs to cover our bases for both the current fiscal year and the new fiscal year. Current fiscal year, you have money that's already been advanced and spent. The new fiscal year, obviously you don't, but these two resolutions are virtually identical except for the dates, and would encourage you to approve both of them. It does not impact the ability to have a additional discussion in May, which I already have planned, either May 6th or May 20, depending on other factors, including the end of the legislative session. But this covers our bases, and it's especially important for fiscal year 26, the current fiscal year.
So just to clarify, we're doing this to get ahead of the legislation, so any legislation that's passed won't impact us? Is that what we're doing?
But no, it's still going to impact us even if it passes.
Okay.
And one of the reasons it would impact us if in its current form is certification would be required by December 1, which means some of the public works projects would really be off the table unless they could be completed by, mid-November to meet the certification.
But really what this does is it helps ensure, because in the past, it's been accepted for the budget resolution to be considered the advancement of cost. And that's been a standard here and in other places. And then we've done standalone advancement resolutions on certain things. But this is an encompassing resolution for each fiscal year. It just covers our bases.
Just simplify it for me.
It covers our bases.
You use one sentence that it's confused me. That's in
Okay.
light of legislation, what might be coming, I recommend doing this. And so I'm just trying to understand
Okay.
what this does in light of pending legislation. Does that make sense?
Yes. What it does is it commits the funds.
No matter what the legislature does.
Well, the legislature could put tweaks in the bill that would undo what we're doing here, but the way the bill is currently written, if we pass this and the bill passes, we should be okay for the current fiscal year and the next fiscal year, at least for the items that are certified prior to December 1 of this year.
Okay.
Does that help?
As much as you can predict legislation, I guess.
Yeah. I debated whether to bring this forward, but I didn't. Talking to some folks in the league, felt it was wise to do because I didn't want to be in a situation, especially for the current fiscal year, of not having our bases covered. So, because money's already been spent.
So you need a motion for both fiscal year 26.
Yeah, you can do them either individually or collectively.
I guess I'll make a motion.
For
Both of them.
both of them.
Yeah.
I will second that. Roll call, or any discussion, sorry. Roll call.
Eggers,
Aye.
Hint,
Aye.
Ostra,
Aye.
Wagner,
Aye.
Okay. Now reports. Update on NCC and Tormund Sewer Collection System projects. Todd.
Yeah, you bet. So, sorry I was not here 2 weeks ago. It's my understanding you had questions on the lift station contract with Bainbridge Construction that you actually did approve final payment on. Anyways, that is a construction project that was awarded back in 2021. Wasn't the smoothest project that ever happened, but it did proceed. When it was nearing completion in 2022, we started to notice some ground settlement and compaction issues with some of the work that they had done. So we never finalized or closed out the project. After those compaction issues reared their ugly head, there was a period of time where some finger pointing went on, kind of pointless. In the end, the contractor came back, dug up all the deficient areas, recompacted all the deficient areas, added flowable mortar in many places where recompaction was impossible. And what you approved last week just memorializes that essentially they came back and did all that work without compensation. So what you approved, the last $44,000, made them whole on the original contract price and showed that they did not get additional compensation for the rework or warranty work, if you will, that they did. So once we finally got all parties to agree to that and memorialize it in the document, then we brought final payments back to you. So I believe, and I believe my guys also believe, while it was a painful process, we ended up with with two lift stations, actually, because there was the NCC and the Thorman lift station that are going to function as they were designed for many, many years to come. We believe we got the product that we paid for. So I'll stop there unless there's any questions.
Nope, thank you, Todd. I know there was a lot of issues, and I just wanted clarification on that. And
Yep.
there is still warranty.
Certain things on the project
Okay.
still have warranty,
Okay.
yes, yeah.
Okay.
Yep. We did issue, it's a little gray, I shouldn't even say it's gray. We did issue final completion some time ago because the lift station, even though they were recompacting, the lift station was still functioning as it should. It was still moving product, right? So it was hard to say that they hadn't been substantially complete. They weren't fully complete or final completion until all the rework was done and all the final documents had been memorialized. So there's always 2 completion dates on projects, and that can be a little confusing if you don't deal with it. But we're good. We're good. We still have warranties on our pumps and all that stuff.
Thank you.
Yep.
Thanks, Todd. Update on acquired residential ground, the former PAPE land. Tanya.
Good afternoon. So on behalf of the SEDC board and the development committee, I just wanted to bring an update to all of you today so that you can kind of see where we are in the process and kind of the next steps that we anticipate taking as far as the development of the PAPE ground that we acquired. So in your agenda, you should have a packet attached that includes a preliminary plan and some cost estimates that go along with that. So this is the updated plat based on direction that we gave Todd and Beck Engineering. We originally had a preliminary plan from years ago, so we got that updated to today's standards and costs, and just based on some of the discussion that we had with the development committee and the board. You should also see in there a timeline for some of the work that needs to be done. Now, these are drafts. These are not finalized by any means. There's still a lot of work to be done, a lot of discussions to be had. We are planning to have a meeting in May so that we can have input from developers and local realtors as well as far as the plan that we have so far. And then after that, we should have something a little bit more finalized, and eventually we wanted to go to the Planning and Zoning Commission as well. And we'll need to receive their feedback to see if any changes need to be made by them as well. Like I said, this is a draft plan, a draft timeline. You should also have a memo that we have worked on that has been attached before that has some of the additional items that need to be considered, some of the discussions that need to be had. But just wanted to put these in front of you. Hopefully at a meeting in May, we will come with a formal recommendation for action from the council as far as funding and financing for the project based on the feedback that we receive and the discussions that are had. And I know there was some discussion and questions on additional items that the council would like to see and the community. We will get there. We will have more information. We will have a marketing plan. Those are just some steps down the line in the development process. Any questions?
Thank you.
Thank you, and we are very excited to work on this, and we appreciate your help and your input through this process.
Thanks, Tanya. Sam?
My city manager's report speaks for itself. I'll stand by for questions if there are any.
You have some openings on the cemetery board. Have you reached out to the funeral homes to see if anybody's dying to get on the board?
Good.
I'm sorry, but just...
Yeah, that is something to note, though. Library and cemetery boards are both looking for members, so.
They've checked out, that's the problem.
Oh, my word, okay. Let's move on. Todd, anything else from you?
Yeah, I might just add that Western Avenue, as I think was reported to you a couple weeks ago, has been progressing at a little better speed this spring. The final
mainline pour of about 1,000 feet is scheduled for Tuesday of next week. Hopefully I didn't jinx it by announcing that, but if they get that final main line done, then of course there'll be some connecting pours at intersections and sidewalks and punch list items, but it is nearing.
All I have.
Yay. Tanya, anything else from you? Okay. Angie?
Nothing, thank you.
Okay. Hey, Brad, over there, do you got anything?
Nope.
Jeff?
I just want to, I want to say something, and that's that this has been a very frustrating council meeting, as you can tell, and it does definitely not reflect on the staff. I appreciate everything the staff's done, and it doesn't reflect on the future of Sheldon, but this was very frustrating, the way this whole meeting played out. So I just want to go on the record for that. But thank you to the staff.
All right.
Make the motion to adjourn.
I will second that. Roll call.
Hens,
Aye.
Ostra,
Aye.
Wagner, Eggers.
Aye.
Thank you, everyone.
5:15.